You're listening to DraftKings Network.
This Friday, Boy Kills World. The must-see action movie event of the year hits theaters.
Yeah! The Vanderkoys killed my family. Now, I'm gonna kill them one by one.
Critics are calling it Looney Tunes on acid.
You know how hard it is to get a serial company to sponsor mass murder?
Weapons, danger, let's do this.
Bill Skarsgård in Boy Kills World. In theaters Friday. Rated R.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Today's episode is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Playoffs started last night. They started last night. And overtime hockey against that team, my mouth tastes like my heart. My heart was in my mouth last night. Overtime hockey is terrifying. The whole thing. But
not for the Panthers.
Against that team? No, but against that team, I'm scared of Stamkos. He hit Bobrovsky in the face with a shot and knocked the straps off his mask.
I believe the Panthers have won 11 in a row overtime playoff games. Not scary for the Panthers. That's where they're most comfortable.
They've been fun the last couple of years in overtime. But before we get to that, I have to address the tension that's in the room. Jessica walked in today not knowing how to feel because of the awkwardness at the end of yesterday's show where Jeremy is arguing passionately on behalf of Heat stuff and annoying everybody, but kind of right. And Mike Ryan is arguing passionately on the other extreme and
annoying everyone
and kind of right. And so Jessica walked in a little bit shell-shocked today.
That's accurate. They're both annoying, but they both made good points, I think. And I also I saw Ryan Cortez going after Mike Ryan, which I think is a point in Mike Ryan's favor. So I'm not really sure what to do with all this. I'm hoping maybe Zaslow can give us some help as someone who's totally neutral on Miami sports.
The CEO of CNN will not be helping us today, but Zaslow will be.
Close enough.
It is close enough, but I was going to sort of introduce him as the idea of, so you've got all of this emotional frenzy around the Heat. Let's bring in a voice of reason, one of the biggest Heat homers of my entire lifetime, one of the people who was born in the fire of I've loved the Heat since Eric Reed started broadcasting for them, and I'm grateful for the last 15 years of Heat basketball because they're your favorite thing. I should tell the audience that Zaslow is a radio legend in South Florida. And no one, I don't think, in radio down here is more closely associated with that team than he is. But you're not fair and reasonable about these things. How do you feel about Mike Ryan? Mike Ryan was getting attacked at the Panther game yesterday because he called Jimmy Butler washed.
Jimmy Washer.
Okay, that was worse.
Freudian slip there from Dan. We know his stance now.
Jimmy Butler is washed, and then he'd say to people, well, I said washed comparatively. Which is just
he did. I saw it in the clip.
But come on. But Cote also said you got to dynamite the team, and then he said dynamite it strategically, which is not the way you dynamite. It's not the way you dynamite a team. So who's right here, Zaslow? We're one game in. I don't believe anyone's got the Heat having a real chance of any kind. I don't hear anybody anymore saying for a second that, something can be figured out here so that the Miami Heat can win this series. Most people do not believe the Heat will win a single game.
Well, that's not. I can tell you, I'm guaranteeing you right now, they will not get swept. All right? Put that down. I'll go on the record. They are not getting swept. Put it down.
Put it down.
Mark it down.
Mark it down.
That's on the record.
On the record. He didn't go off the record there. On the record.
Sometimes you got to go on the record. I am on the record. They are not getting swept. Now, I did put out on Twitter, because, you got to go on the record, and I put out my picks. I did have the Heat winning in 4, all right? That's obviously out the window. Do with that what you will. But they're not going to get swept this series. I'm very down on Mike Ryan. I got to be honest. I'm very down on him because, and you know what? I feel a little bit bad because he's not here to defend himself. So I feel like I'm talking behind his back, but it's whatever.
We're a big show. It'll get back to him.
Okay, good. All right. He comes off like an ingrate. He does. He comes off sounding like an ingrate. We're not exactly long-suffering Miami Heat fans. Okay, We're not the Sacramento Kings. We're not the LA Clippers, who have never even been to a conference final in the last 5. Do you understand that the last 5 years, this has been the second best stretch in the history of the organization? That's not an opinion. That's a fact. The last 5 years have been the second best stretch in the history of the organization.
Topped only by the LeBron years.
That's right. 2011 to 14 is the only stretch.
It's been marked down. Tony marked it down. It's been marked down.
Put it down, Zaz.
Let me
Heat
just
not
make sure
getting
you're
swept.
quoting me accurately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heat not getting. I mean, I threw in like a guarantee there, but that's okay.
I'll write that down. Hold on.
Yeah. All
You
right.
sound more like Mike Ryan's impression of you than you sound like you to me.
Is this the first time that I've been here that she's been here too? Because I like Jessica, so I'm glad that she's here.
Oh.
But I feel like this is the first time that she's been here to make a statement like that,
I think
right?
you're right.
She's only been in the presence of the fake Zaslow, and you do sound more like Mike Ryan's impersonation of you
This is
than
awesome.
how I remember you sounding. Were you indignant as Jeremy? Jeremy just popped in. He wasn't working today.
Oh, yeah, there he
he
is.
wasn't here when the show started.
What you just said, Zaslow, made me float in here. It felt incredible.
I was whispering sweet nothings into your ear out there, and you
This
came
was
running
sensual
in.
for me, yeah.
What do you want to say to the people here? The tension. This is the tension that I have. And you guys have to understand the homerism that we're talking about in Zaslow. Zaslow just saw that Paul Pierce is on the show today, and just like Mike Ryan, he said, I'm boycotting that. I'm not doing that. He's thrilled to be on the show with us. Billy, what are you laughing
We
at?
have a bunch of cowards, let's say.
I needed help.
A bunch of people that talk bad about Paul Pierce, and as soon as Paul's around, no one wants to talk to him.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, why would I want to talk to him? I'll never talk to him.
Legend of the game, NBA champion.
No.
Tony, those are solid. You
He's
did
not
that.
a
Tony,
legend of the
you've
game.
never
He
been
was
so
on Stars
efficient
on
with your
Mars.
words.
No. I don't know what time he's coming on. I know I will not be in here.
Why not?
Because I have no interest in ever talking to him.
Why?
There is no scenario in my life that I would talk to Paul Pierce. It is what it is.
What if you were dying and you needed him to live?
He doesn't have family members? Where do I come into the picture if he's dying? Give you family and friends.
No, you're dying. You're dying, and he
You're
can help.
dying. You need help.
You fell in
you're
a
at the
well.
bottom of a well.
We're somehow in like 1850s America. You fell into a well.
And it's on Paul Pierce's property.
I would yell to him, go get help. Go get help.
Well, then you
Not
talk
you.
to him.
Go get help.
You'd rather die than have him save your life.
I would. I have nothing to do with Paul Pierce. Get the heck out of here.
Zaz, are we locked in here? Can you just double check my work here?
Let me see. Heat not getting swept, guaranteed.
I
Yeah,
needed
that's
help.
good enough.
As you can see, the
Yeah.
other guaranteed is spelled differently. Or spelled with a different
Tony announced,
handwriting.
Jeremy, help me with that.
I have
trouble with that
a
one.
difficulty.
That's
with,
on the record right there.
I have
There it
difficulty
is.
with the word guaranteed.
Yeah.
Spelling it. So I had Jess help me.
We're good, man. I feel good about that. No,
That's a lame rallying call. We're not going to get swept, I guarantee.
okay, but that's only because everybody thinks we're going to lose by 30. I mean, Kendrick Perkins the other day. I'm beefing with Kendrick Perkins, by the way. Kendrick Perkins the other day goes on television. If the Heat shoot 100% from the field and 100% from three, they're still getting swept. By the way, that's redundant because if you're 100% from the field, you're also 100% from three. Got to point that out. Everybody thinks the Heat are getting swept. So yeah, you know what? I'm going to come back and say I guarantee you they're not going to get swept.
Okay, this is where I need everyone to settle down, though, because he comes in aggressively and he can do Stugotz better than Stugotz because Zaslow still cares. And he can bring substantive passion to what we're doing. But this is the tension that I have that's a very real one for me, and I now say it legitimately walking the streets, because some people who love the Heat and have loved them for a long time have used this show to follow the Heat for a long time and have certain expectations for it locally. And they get mad at me that, A, the show goes as negative as it does on the stubborn entitlement of we deserve better than this when not many have had better than this.
Totally.
But also, and this part is a problem for me, because the national audience is good and sick of how much we talk about the Heat. We do it about 50 times more than we should as a national show. And here's the other problem I run into. Those local Heat fans expect me to not platform Brian Scalabrine the way I don't expect Cam and Mace to platform O.J. Simpson. They're doing that to me on Brian Scalabrine and Paul Pierce, for that matter. Why are you bringing on the enemy?
I guarantee you they won't have him on again.
Not rest in peace, Dan, but damn.
Rest in something.
I'm saying the idea of not platforming Scalabrine because he's a Celtic who calls the Heat dirty, that's an unreasonable standard that you're trying to set for me, Miami, that I will not have set for me.
I mean, we did bring on a local regional broadcaster for one of the teams in this Heat Celtic series, and it was the one who said Spo called for a code red. Like that's what we're deciding to do.
But Zaslow's here today for a whole show.
And we had the Scalabrine interview booked before he even said that, although I would have asked. No, it's not semantics. It's facts. It's not semantics. You feel how about what Mike Ryan is throwing into the atmosphere when he says he invented Heat Twitter and everything that comes after it is a pale imitation? Because if you're going to get spoiled, you know what's going to do it. I've been talking about this. Warriors fans and Patriots fans must be super obnoxious. Alabama fans must be super obnoxious because you get to a certain place where you just expect winning. You deserve winning. You get used to it. And next thing you know, you're running Belichick out the door. Or Calipari, you're running him out the door because you deserve to be top 10 every single year. The Heat have been a part of the national conversation for 15 straight years. It's unusual in that sport when you have turnover.
I don't think Mike represents most of the Heat fans the way that he feels about this right now. I feel like most Heat fans are more along the lines of they're pretty we were just in the finals last year. I think most Heat fans grasp that because it does come off like being an ingrate that you're so angry when they've been in the finals 2 of the last 5 years. I don't know about the whole inventing Heat Twitter stuff, right? That's above my pay grade. But I don't think that I don't think most Heat fans are on Mike's side. I don't think they feel that way. I don't think that most of them are ungrateful. I had a top 2 or 3 fan experience last postseason, and they didn't even win. So for me, right now, like I'm obviously disappointed. I'm most disappointed because they're hurt. But even if they were healthy and they lost in the first round, the joy that they gave me last postseason, it means something to me as a fan. And I don't lose sight of that.
I think I agree with Zaz. I think this is kind of like politics where you have Mike Ryan on one extreme, you have Jeremy on another extreme, but most people live in this middle space of this has been pretty cool what the Heat have done in the last 5 years.
So cool.
But it's also, you can also say it's not good enough because they've been in the play in the last 2 years. So it's like, it's okay to just be in the middle. Like I want to start shouting. Like usually everyone on the extremes is shouting, I see both sides. We're okay. We're not that bad.
Also, Dan is reading anonymous lists on the show about Bam. I don't know where you stand on that, Zaz, but Dan should get a little bit of blame in choosing an extreme side in this argument.
Stoking fires.
I was reporting something. I was reporting an anonymous source who said, that he would take 13 centers over Bam in the NBA. And then I asked for them to be named because how am I getting blamed? What am I getting blamed for reporting, for asking somebody for information? I have not. I've been blamed here for carrying water for the Heat. I've been blamed for just always believing in Pat Riley because that's the wrong thing to do. And I do believe that these people deserve criticism. They'd be the first to tell you that they've set the standard that 8 seeds aren't good enough. I imagine Pat Riley is made crazy by just Jimmy Butler in general. What he does to media day, the fact that he's not playing all 82 games. I imagine that he's made crazy by what today's game is. He wanted Kareem and Mourning and Ewing to get the least efficient shot by just elbowing you in the face and turning you into hamburger. So I imagine everything he's watching right now is something that he's looking at, and I'm like, yeah, I wish that this were different. But he's at the end of his life.
Whoa.
You just kill Pat Riley?
He's at the end of his career and his life doing this. Both of those are going to end at the same time.
He's never leaving.
He's going to be in the seat 10 years after he's gone. The Heat will continue to use that mythology 10 years after he's gone. They might do with him what Cuba did with Fidel Castro.
Whoa.
Where Fidel Castro
now
was
we're getting into politics,
dead for years and nobody knew it, and his brother was running the country.
It's going to be like Weekend at Bernie style?
It's possible. But
I don't think that's factually true. I don't think he was dead for years.
Weekend at Bernie's? No, it's real.
No, Weekend at Bernie's is also not factually.
I thought it was a documentary.
What is factually
How'd
true?
they have a second weekend at Bernie's?
I don't know, how?
What is factually true on Fidel, Billy, since you're so interested in accuracy at all times?
Well, I mean, we have a responsibility to tell the truth.
Yeah.
But he was dead for years and his brother was running the country?
That's correct. Put it up on the board. Erase Heat not getting swept. Fidel was
on
dead.
the record.
Fidel was. I'm putting this on the record.
It's a new record.
Fidel was dead for years, and his brother was running the country. He was
on the record.
Yeah, I'm putting it on the record.
Do you need
I'm
help
putting
spelling that? An anonymous NFL source sent me a list, Dan, of 15 quarterbacks they'd rather take instead of Tua. If you want to hear that list. But this is not my list. This is an anonymous NFL source sent me this list.
Oh, no.
I just don't know. You have not proven to have those.
What? Anonymous sources?
Anonymous NFL sources is not something I associate with you. Does anyone associate? Put it on the poll at Lebitard Show. Does anyone associate anonymous NFL sources with Jessica?
I could see it.
You don't think I have anonymous NFL sources?
I'm not saying that you don't have them. I'm saying that before this moment, there was no argument.
Well, I'm not going to tell you who they are.
We pretend Mike Ryan's a reporter. Why can't Jess be a reporter?
Because Mike Ryan's not pretending, and Jessica has been a reporter more than Mike Ryan. Jessica came up through print journalism.
And now I'm just someone who reads anonymous sources lists out loud without saying that they're my list. But you can agree or disagree, but it's not my list, an anonymous NFL source.
But I don't believe you, is what I'm saying. I'm questioning your sourcing.
You think I'm lying?
Yes.
Questioning my integrity.
Yes.
Well, I question your integrity, Dan, because you won't tell us who made the Bam out of bio list.
It was Stan.
You can question my integrity, but I have literally done journalism longer than you've been alive.
So now you're doing an age thing.
Oh, no.
It's true, though. You are much, much older than
it
me.
is, and wiser.
She's also a woman.
And wiser.
Thank you, Bane.
Was that Bane?
Who
Number
was
one,
that?
Lamar Jackson.
I'm just trying to get us out of this,
Who was that?
You should check and make sure that the record is accurate.
Yeah.
Number 2, Patrick Mahomes.
I just don't believe that you have a source on this that you contacted over the evening.
You think I've never talked to an NFL source before?
I believe you're making up this entire list, and I believe you're damaging to credibility in journalism. Yes.
Unlike your list,
That's
which
right.
was anonymous,
Correct.
that had Nurkic as a better center than Bam.
Yes.
Wow. Crazy.
But I actually talked to somebody.
Number 7, Kyler Murray.
But you didn't talk to anybody.
How do you know that?
Because I think you're
How
making
do we
this
know you
up.
talked to somebody?
Because I'm a credible reporter who has previously quoted anonymous sources on information that has been accurate on this show. You have not done that with an NFL insider.
I have done it. Maybe not on this show because I'm not a journalist anymore. And maybe you're not either because you're granting anonymity to people that are breaking news about Bam Adebayo in this market, Dan.
I don't think it's breaking news.
Number 13 is Will Levis.
Not breaking news.
It's a terrible list.
I mean, it's broke for me.
It's better than yesterday's list.
My list on Bam was pretty bad too, but again, not my list.
Well, not my list either.
But I believe yours is your list. That's the thing. See, that's the thing. That's the problem with what you're doing right now. And it's a problem in American media in general. It's a distrust that the American media has for journalism in general is I believe you're actually making that list up.
Just doing the Trump tactic. I get it.
But
calling it fake news. It's fine.
But journalism doesn't usually do that. That's not something that actually happens within journalism.
It's a good defense mechanism. It's almost working.
Hey everybody, it's Mike, and typically I record these Miller Lite spots in the studio, but I requested that I specifically record this one from my home office because I got a window and I'm looking outside at those beautiful fishtail palms, knowing that in just a few seconds I'm going to go out there, I'm going to crack open a can of Miller Lite, because while sitting outside by my fishtail palms is usually a good time, I like to take it up a notch and make it a Miller time. That's right, you crack that puppy open and you don't have to think about what you're drinking for a darn second. A lot has changed over the years, including my backyard. Lots of landscaping being done right now. But the one thing that hasn't changed is the undebatable quality of Miller Lite. You don't have to choose what quality is the best. Miller Lite has great taste, and it's less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer. Howdy, folks. It's Mike Ryan. I'm living the gimmick right now. The playoffs have already gotten me, and we're a couple of days into it. It's like a playoff equinox that's going on right now. It's ridiculous. And if you're like me, you like rooting on your team. Trust me, I just bought 3 for my wife, daughter, and myself for game 1. I live it. Because I've been out there. I've been out in those streets. I've been panicking last second trying to find deals. And then when I eventually settle on something, I'm not sure if it's the lowest price out there, and I'm getting just totally blitzed with surprise fees. Well, thankfully, Game Time takes it out of the equation. All the fees are up front. There's no surprises. You get to see what your seat looks like. It's amazing, the technology we have these days. But Game Time has your back always. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app right now, create an account, and use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DAN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute deals, lowest price, guaranteed.
Dan Le Batard. All these high-paid analysts, I don't want to mention names, TNT, ESPN, they are dead. They cannot. They're not going to make it. Even if they win if they lose in Miami.
I need to calm you down.
That's right. If they lose in Miami, they don't got a chance in Boston. Or they are going to have their ass, in Boston. Stugotz. They were wrong. Are they going to lose their job? No. Are they going to get a cut in pay? No. What are they going to do? Keep predicting what is the obvious. They are going to say, the Nuggets are going to win. Denver, the altitude. And you know what? The Heat are going to win it all. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Roy, what was your level of enthusiasm yesterday and your level of fear in that overtime?
I had no fear going to overtime because the Panthers don't lose in overtime. That's how I felt.
Roy, I think you're full of shit too.
No, I am not full of shit.
You always say I want all the smoke. I'm never afraid of anybody, and then you get swept by the lightning.
I wasn't afraid during the sweep.
I mean, I don't. Does anyone believe Roy's bravado?
Did anybody believe your list?
It's a fair point.
I mean, my list is reported.
Okay. Well, okay.
No, I believe
it's somebody else's list, by the way.
Yeah.
Not Dan's.
Don't you need 2 sources to report something?
I can tell you that our words were in the second period because Sam Bennett went down and he was doing so well defensively against the Lightning. So he went down, and then the second period happened, and the Panthers couldn't establish what they wanted. That happened in the first period because apparently the entries got stuffed, and then it took a huge save from Sergei Bobrovsky, and even that didn't motivate the Panthers for the rest of the second period.
It's one of the best moments of my life, that save.
That save, overall, that game, the goalie play in that game was probably the best I've ever seen in a playoff game.
That can't be right.
That was a classic game.
Yes, they were
both goaltenders.
Vasilevsky was
fantastic.
fantastic.
Okay, yes, wait a minute. Just slow down. It can't be the thing last night. Prisoner of the moment is the best thing I've ever seen. Now, I will say that that's fun playoff hockey. That's the reason people love playoff hockey. Let me show a picture here from last night. You tell me how this is not a goal. Bobrovsky, your great goaltender, has his back to the puck right there.
He looks superimposed. It looks like it's not even real.
This looks fake, that this was not a goal. That game is 2-2, and the next goal was going to end up winning that game because of how good these two goalies are. How is that not a goal when Bobrovsky, physically, you're about as out of position there as you can geographically be in that photograph and not have it be a goal?
If Matt Dumper gathers the puck correctly, because that's on his backhand, it was a one-touch backhand that he shot there. If he gathered that correctly, that would have been a goal. Like, if he had more patience, that would have been a goal.
No, I think if Bobrovsky wasn't alive, that'd be a goal.
Well, that too. Like, if he had as much patience as Carter Verhaeghe did on that overtime goal, then that would have been a goal.
Yep.
There were so many scoring chances in that third period.
Unbelievable night.
I'm telling you, Dan, I know it sounds prisoner of the moment, but Vasilevsky was fantastic too. It really was that was just a great fun game.
Vasilevsky has been that for them throughout the run of their dynasty. That is a champion goaltender at the height of his powers.
The Panthers score on him. They've been really good against him the last couple seasons.
They weren't the last time that Roy wanted all the smoke from this team in the postseason, and they immediately got swept.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's right. That's right.
I still want all the smoke. I'm not scared of them.
I'm not scared of them either. I've been calling for them all year long.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Absolutely.
It's so easy to not be scared at 2-0. You guys are so full of shit on up 1-0, going into overtime. When a series can swing like that, how do you imagine LeBron slept? You don't beat Denver 9 straight times. You got a three-pointer like that after playing in your driveway with Bryce and telling him you're the GOAT. That's what you do. You have the wide open shots with 12 seconds left of a tie game. That whole series is right there for you to go home against the champions. You know how hard it is to beat that team. And that's LeBron. That's LeBron. And you guys are telling me that the difference between 1-1 and 2-0 in an overtime isn't something. Go to Tampa 1-1? Go to Tampa. You're so full of shit.
They could have split in Tampa,
You're
Dan.
so full of shit, Roy.
I'll admit it, Dan. I was terrified during overtime.
So full of shit.
Is anyone telling the truth today?
Again, I am
always.
I was more worried in the second period than I was in overtime. I'm fully confident in this team in overtime.
I mean, I'm on the verge of projectile vomit the last 40 minutes of that game last night. You're nuts. You weren't nervous. I was so nervous. I watched the entire overtime in horror. Horror.
Well, I'm a crazy person.
No, Roy, what you're saying, this doesn't take any inventory of the history and emotion of what you're trying to knock out of the playoffs. Like, you have no respect. You're having no
respect.
You are someone who loves hockey.
It doesn't make you less of a fan.
To not be afraid of championship, something that can win in the hockey playoffs consistently, you're nuts. Like, how do you, that goaltender is exactly what you fear. That's what ends the greatest teams in hockey. That's how upsets happen in hockey.
Dan, the Lightning are a lesser team than what they were. Like, I am fully confident in this Panthers team to get through this series. Not even in 5.
Backhand top shelf beats Vasilevsky.
There is a calming element of sitting in the press box as well. Like if Roy's out there drinking a couple of beers, hanging out in the middle of the fans, that would have been a little bit of a different experience, I imagine, than sitting next to the rest of the crew in the media.
This is the problem, though. I have never once, just like I haven't heard Jessica summon an anonymous NFL source before on this show, I've never heard once Roy admit publicly to fear of any kind. He's always wearing this mask of bravado, your mama. Like, that's what he's always doing. So he's never once at that microphone admitted fear of anything.
My source just texted me, by the way, Dan. J.J. McCarthy, number 16
now. What?
Tua sliding back to 17.
Wow.
I don't like the source.
I almost got into a fight in the parking lot with an old guy after the Panthers game last night.
Like an actual fist fight?
No. Just altercation. So we're leaving the parking lot. I found the one lane, because that stadium is very good for exiting the parking lot.
It's such a good parking lot.
There's a lot of different exits. It's usually smooth sailing, but I found this one nook where we found ourselves in the standard every other car thing. There's two lines merging into one. Every other car. I'm seeing 20 cars go every other car. Everyone's being nice. This one guy, older white dude with his wife in the car, hops up on the curb and thinks he's going to skip like 8 people.
Is he in like a truck?
He's in like a truck, like an SUV, and you can see his wife like yelling at him. And during it, all of a sudden, I'm pulling up and he gets by me. And the car in front of me decides we're going to block this guy. So we block him. So all of a sudden, this guy who thought he was skipping everybody is getting passed by everyone. So now he's rolling down his window like, come on, let me go. And I hit him with, I rolled down my window, cheaters never prosper. Just a stupid line. He goes, I ain't cheating. It was just so funny. Like,
You said that?
I did.
In real life to another
prosper.
human?
Why?
Where did you
Because they
summon
don't.
that
That's
from?
because
Crazy.
they don't.
It's not true.
Cheaters never prosper, and you will sit here, buddy. And then the next person behind me let him in, so I was pissed. But I was
So
like,
he prospered.
Not on my watch. Cheaters never prosper. And he goes, I ain't cheating.
Because it's true. Because it's true.
Dan Le Batard.
Go pee-pee.
Stugotz.
Go pee-pee.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I have told you before, I will continue to tell you, David Samson is working very hard on Nothing Personal, the podcast, a daily slalom course of subject matter that I don't believe a lot of other people are attacking. So Nothing Personal is something you should check out. He is joining us now from somebody's grandmother's house in London. Is that where you are? London?
No, I'm in Paris at a hotel. This is the background. This is where I've been doing Nothing Personal from this week. And yeah, I was in London this weekend, Dan, so you were close.
And so why are you in Paris and London?
I ran a marathon. I ran the London Marathon. Well, I tried to run. I finished the London Marathon Sunday and then came over to Paris through the Channel for a couple days before I come back for Monday.
Did you train for it?
No, I do. I used to train so hard I would never miss a training run. And then I did the 7 marathons deal, and I thought I could just run a marathon without training. So I didn't earn the starting line. I got to the starting line. The first 18 miles were great. And then I just collapsed at mile 18, pulled over to the side of the street. My legs didn't move. And I was emotional because I thought I couldn't finish. And I just decided to try to keep going. And I ended up doing the last 8.2 miles. But it was, I don't suggest doing marathons without training.
Have you never finished a marathon before?
Well, I quit the Berlin Marathon last year. And so I was worried I was going to quit again. And I don't ever want to be a quitter. And I hated that feeling. I still think about it. It's been a year and a half, and I think about it pretty much every day that I had a chance to do a Berlin Marathon and I quit. I literally, at mile 12 of that one, there was a train, like the tube or the subway, that I saw was the line. Everything was in German. I didn't know where I was, but it was the subway line back to my hotel. And I ran from the course, and I ran over the stanchion and went right into the subway. It was horrible. I'll never do that again.
I believe you ran the London Marathon with Zdeno Chara, who ran the Boston Marathon 6 days before that. Like, can you believe a 6'9" person like that running 2 marathons within a week? It's crazy.
There's a bunch of people who did that, who did Boston Monday and then London Sunday. Those are 2 of the 6 major marathons. The other 4 being Tokyo and Berlin and Chicago and Boston and New York. And I'd like to do all 6. I've only done 4.
Zaslow, before we go any further here with David Samson, what are your general feelings about David Samson and the fact that he's on our show?
I like David Samson. I've only met David a few times. He's always been nice to me. I got no problem with David Samson. I know he's very polarizing, and I know he probably cares very much about my opinion of him, so I like David Samson. Yeah, he got us a stadium here. He got us a ballpark. I'm grateful for that.
If you fell in a well and David Samson were there to help you, would you accept his help?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If Paul Pierce were the only one there, I'd say, hey, go get David Sampson.
So, Zaz, have you spent any time with Paul Pierce?
I will never do that in my life, no.
No, but have you actually met him is what I'm asking.
I mean, I've been in the same building as him many times.
No.
Oh, a basketball arena with 20,000 people doesn't count.
Have you actually spoken with him before?
No. If he were in front of me and wanted to talk to me, I'd say no. I have nothing to do with you.
So let me just tell you that Paul Pierce happens to be one of the funniest, nicest guys you will ever meet.
Good for him.
I'll never meet him.
No. You could meet him. I thought he's coming on the show today.
I will not be in this.
He's leaving.
I will walk out.
He's leaving. Like Mike Ryan.
There's some bagels there. I'll go make myself a bagel and cream
You're
cheese.
going to take a break and stand on principle and not participate. Are you going to get a pay cut for not doing the segment?
Pay cut? I didn't know there was pay involved, period.
Welcome, Zaslow.
You stand for nothing, David. You'll fall for anything, you know?
You need an agent.
You know what I would do? Matter of fact, if I were, like, if it was mandatory that I had to be in the same room with Paul Pierce, you know what I would do? I would wear not one, I would wear both of my championship rings from the Miami Heat so that he and everybody else sees I have twice as many championship rings as he does. That's what I would do.
And I love
if
that.
I had to be in the room with him, which I won't.
If you got him, smoke him.
What part are you not understanding about this, Samson? Because you do have a disconnect when it comes. I think this is something that plagued you as an executive between the customer's fandom and where it is and how it is that you do business. I look at Zaz and I find this funny and unreasonable. And also, it makes sense that that pays for the whole economy of everything you and I do, that people care that way.
But Zaz is not a fan today. He is on the other side of a microphone where his job is to get information out of Paul Pierce that will be interesting to the audience.
Nah.
It's not to be, I don't view any time between 9 and 11 live on YouTube on the Batard network. I don't view that you should be a fan, even though you pretend to be and you play characters that are that. At the end of the day, you have an opportunity to speak to...
He's not playing a character. He's a fan. He's a fan first. He's always been a fan.
Yeah, definitely a fan. Definitely just being me. Definitely never talking to Paul Pierce because F him.
Cheaters never prosper.
Such a
Wouldn't it be great if you met him before you thought that?
I don't know why you keep wanting me to meet Paul Pierce. I have great people in my life. I don't need Paul Pierce. It's, oh my God, Paul Pierce is so funny and so sweet and so nice. I got those people in my life. None of them are going to be Paul Pierce. I'm good.
I cannot understand the words you're saying because I never knew what it would be like to have no room for something like that in your life because I have such a vast amount of space for that and I crave that it's shocking to me that you're good. You're like your tank is full, so you're not willing to meet anybody new. Is that what you're saying?
It's Pierce specific.
Yeah, I'm absolutely willing to meet new people, but not someone who I actively dislike and who actively dislikes my favorite team and who has been a part of moments that have given me pain. Now, granted, we've given him a lot more pain, a lot more pain. I mean, we took that ass almost every single year that we played them. And again, I have twice as many championship rings as he does in his entire career. It's important that we don't forget that. But there is no moment that I'm going to be sitting on my couch saying, you know what would really fulfill me if I added Paul Pierce to my life?
But you only have to add him for 12 and a half minutes.
Or I could not add him.
It's 12 and a half minutes where he could convince you that, wait a minute, it was just a character. I was just a player on a team.
Well, I'll tell you right now, he could be a big phony. That's nice, David, that you're calling him a big phony. I'll probably side with you on that one. But this right here, this Punim right here, all of this here, this is not phony. This is for real. I got no interest in Paul Pierce.
And it has 2 rings.
Speaking of Punims, is there matzah in the office? Because I sent a memo. Is it just bagels?
It's 2 rings that he has, David. I know you're very eager whenever you get the avenue open to talk about bagels that you take it. But he's got 2 actual rings. He's not using we as the way fans do.
Yeah.
He's got twice as many championship rings as Paul Pierce.
If Paul Pierce and I were in a room together and Dan said, hey guys, throw your championship rings on the table, there would be 3 there. 2 of them would be mine.
And LeBron would still go to the Heat, not the Knicks.
David, I don't know whether you've been following just how bad the refereeing and umpiring crisis is. There is no solace, 0, that Philadelphia gets today, hearing that in the 2-minute report, Maxey was fouled by Hart and Brunson, and Nurse was asking for a timeout he should have gotten. So they basically botched everything at the end of that game, and the Knicks win. And both of the games, the refereeing is having an obvious impact in the NBA where they're trying to get scoring down. Like the Clippers, to watch that Clippers-Mavs game, as good as I know those offensive guys are, to watch everybody on the court miss more shots than they make, was very frustrating because I want to watch Dallas and the Clippers play basketball, but there's an officiating edict that seems to be a place in the NBA, and everyone's complaining about the officiating. This is as old as time. Is it any worse than it's been?
You just said that, so let's make sure we understand prisoner of the moment. Go back to Pat Riley, whether he's Bernie or not. That's what playoff basketball used to be. Just like often in playoff baseball, where pitching becomes much more important than your offense, playoff basketball is different. Defense matters. And in terms of refereeing, I've thought about this, and I covered this on Nothing Personal. It's very different now because we get the frame by frame on social media. I don't know if you saw this, if we have this, and I don't want to give video team more work to do.
Are you going to do this again? You're going to do this again where you call for video and you think they should just have it because it's a thought in your head from seconds ago?
Yes.
All right, please. Please stop doing that. Could you? Could you do that for me?
Hello, I'm sorry. Love you guys. The frame by frame shows Brunson grabbing. If you go frame by frame, there's offensive holding, there's defensive holding in the NFL every play. And what you ask your umpires and referees to do is to make judgment calls in real time. You don't get the benefit of hindsight, but we do in the media and we as fans. So everyone's losing their mind over the end of the Sixers game. Embiid is crying over the Sixers' loss. They didn't lose that game because Brunson grabbed Maxey's jersey. They lost that game because they didn't shoot the ball well enough. That's it. And they didn't stop other than Brunson.
David, there's no that's it on reasons they lost the game. There's no one that's it. When the referees are telling you in the 2-minute report they got a bunch of shit wrong, like...
What about the other 46 minutes?
Okay,
Why is the 2-minute report so important? I hate the 2-minute report. It should be a 48-minute report. What's the difference between the last 2 minutes? That's like saying the umpires, you screwed it up in the 9th inning. What about the 3-1 call in the 4th inning? That's just as important.
I hate the 2-minute report. I've always hated the 2-minute report. Matter of fact, if I'm a Sixer fan, I want the 2-minute report not to confirm anything I was angry about.
I agree.
Because I just get more mad now. What are we doing? We're not going to replay the final. We're not all of a sudden going to be granted up 2 games. I hate the last 2-minute report. It is, to me, it's counterproductive. I hate it.
I would have voted against that ever being publicized. I don't think that fans or anybody should get a hold of that. There are reports that happen after every baseball game. You've got Twitter accounts that now go through umpires and rank them and score them of strike ball efficiency. But I don't want any, I view that as dirty laundry under the kimono type stuff. I don't need people to be debating that and me to have an official position on it. But the way the world is that everybody wants more information, but then when they get it, they're angry they have it, and they view themselves as being wronged. And that's the thing about fan bases. So often they just feel wronged all the time instead of grateful for a run that they had, as an example.
They were up 5 with 30 seconds left.
Well, let's play some sound here from Pablo Torre yesterday. He's getting dragged for this. He deserves to be dragged for this. I wish I had dragged him for this. This was Pablo Torre's analysis at the end of that Knicks-Sixers game.
It's just obvious what needs to happen. Joel Embiid needs to step up in a big game. And it just sounds like a cliche. It sounds like a cliche, and it's totally true, Dan. So, yeah, I'm tired. I'm just tired of being the prophet of the process. I am. On some level, yes, it's true that Joel Embiid is playing hurt. Joel Embiid should not be out there. And yet, this is the exact reason why Joel Embiid exists. This is why the process happened, is for moments like this.
Pablo should be imprisoned for that take. It's my fault for not calling it out at the time. Joel Embiid did everything he did in that game on one leg, and you're asking him to step up? You're asking him to have a big game? When he did everything that he did in that game? That was truly horseshit analysis. And I really erred in not calling that out yesterday.
That's what you aired in not calling out yesterday?
Yes, that was egregious to say that Joel, after that game, now I know he was 12 for 29, you want him to be more efficient, but the way that he's playing, like how much can you, I hate when we skip right past, yeah, I know he's injured. I mean, none of us,
but he's always
Jeremy
injured.
missed work on Monday. He had the sniffles.
Oh, I had more than the sniffles, but yeah, I missed work.
But I'm just saying, like the idea that someone's injured and putting up 30-plus points in an NBA game and carrying that team, and no one's yelling about Tobias Harris, who's making a ton of money.
Well, but you know what? Like Anthony Davis, everyone was giving Anthony Davis a lot of crap for having a great 3 quarters and then doing nothing in the 4th quarter. Joel Embiid is yet to grab a rebound in the 4th quarter this series. Not to grab a bunch of rebounds, to grab a rebound. That's singular. To grab a rebound in this series in the 4th quarter.
Mitchell Robinson's
rebound.
averaging 4 rebounds in the 4th quarter.
He doesn't have 1 rebound. And you know what? The Knicks grabbed one of the biggest rebounds in the history of their franchise right in front of Embiid.
Is it or A?
I'm good.
A rebound? A rebound? David, what's the movie you're reviewing for us this week?
Can we talk about Baby Reindeer? Has anyone in the room seen it?
It's excellent.
I've seen the cover of it, but I actually haven't seen or have
great,
no idea what it's about.
I've seen of it.
You have to be prepared to be deeply uncomfortable. It crawls into your skin.
Don't spoil it. No one's seen it.
I haven't spoiled it. I'm just...
to say that you're uncomfortable. Here's what Baby Reindeer is and why you should watch it. It's about a stalker. It's about a comedian who is stalked, and it's true. And the writer, the director, and the star is the actual comedian playing himself, which is shocking because he's surrounded by actors.
I don't think he's the star, by the way. I think she is. I think this is a breakout role for her.
Well, she is going to win stuff for what she did, the stalker. It's staggering, her performance. It is so scary. And I don't mean horror scary. It is staggering what can happen in a life when you get stalked. And it's not the normal catfish type of stalking. Totally different. I strongly suggest it. Now, I'm worried about talking more about it because Jessica said don't spoil it. But I'd like to talk about some things that happened.
Well, she said don't spoil it, and she said it to me saying it's unsettling. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It crawls around in your skin, and the woman, I don't know her name, I'd never seen her before, is great in it. It's an uncommonly good acting job where she immediately makes you uncomfortable.
And episode 4 is the most uncomfortable episode. I would suggest when you watch it, it's a very quick 7-episode watch. After episode 4, you're going to need to take a break. You're going to have to step away because it goes to a place where it's just very difficult to watch. And then you finish with the last 3 episodes. And the end of the story of Baby Reindeer, and when they explain what Baby Reindeer is, because I had no idea why it would be called that, and it's such an important part of the story, that's the part I won't spoil. But it is a show that I strongly suggest everybody watch.
David, we will talk to you next week, sir.
Okay, thank you.
This Friday, Boy Kills World. The must-see action movie event of the year hits theaters.
Yeah! The Vanderkoys killed my family. Now, I'm gonna kill them one by one.
Critics are calling it Looney Tunes on acid.
You know how hard it is to get a serial company to sponsor mass murder?
Weapons, danger, let's do this.
Bill Skarsgård in Boy Kills World. In theaters Friday. Rated R.
Hey everybody, it's Mike, and typically I record these Miller Lite spots in the studio, but I requested that I specifically record this one from my home office because I got a window and I'm looking outside at those beautiful fishtail palms, knowing that in just a few seconds I'm going to go out there, I'm going to crack open a can of Miller Lite, because while sitting outside by my fishtail palms is usually a good time, I like to take it up a notch and make it a Miller time. That's right, you crack that puppy open and you don't have to think about what you're drinking for a darn second. A lot has changed over the years, including my backyard. Lots of landscaping being done right now. But the one thing that hasn't changed is the undebatable quality of Miller Lite. You don't have to choose what quality is the best. Miller Lite has great taste and it's less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
We all have that friend who wakes up early to go get everyone McDonald's breakfast, while the rest of us sleep in. This is your sign to thank them. And if you're that friend, this is us saying thank you.
Just a friendly reminder that right now, get any size iced coffee before 11 a.m. for just 99 cents. And a satisfying sausage McMuffin with egg is just $2.79. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.